Hey everybody, Backpacker Luke here, and today I'm going to be going over the differences between a frameless backpacking pack, an internal frame, and an external frame backpacking pack, what the differences are between them, and why you might choose one over the other, and all those kinds of important things. So that's what we're going to be getting into today. The first thing I do want to say is if you are new to backpacking and you're looking to get into it and you're looking for your first backpacking pack, one of the most important things is to know how to size your backpack correctly and get the right size for you. Otherwise, your trip just becomes really rough. So if you're looking for a video on how to size a backpack and kind of understanding that whole thing, I actually do have a video for you. I'll put the little card right here. So you should go watch that as well in case you're looking for that. But otherwise, we're just going to go over the differences between those different types of packs today. If it wasn't already obvious in the naming itself, a frameless backpack has no frame. Internal frame has a frame that actually kind of makes the shape of the pack inside of it. And then an external frame is basically an external frame backpack. So that's really obvious, but it is in the name itself. But what does that actually mean? So what we're looking at here is an internal frame backpack. The main difference between this and other backpacking packs that have different frames is that most of the framing is actually kind of contained within the backpack itself. It's sort of inside the fabric. And you have like bars right here and right here to sort of keep the shape of the back of the backpack mostly is what it's for. So I'm using the Osprey Atmos here as an example. But so this is the internal frame. So you have some shaping here for the hip belt. And so that shape comes all the way around here. You have the frame that sort of comes all the way around the outside of the pack and then also gives you some shape on the back and that sort of thing. This one in particular actually has some sort of air mesh, meaning that when this is resting up against your back, you actually have some gap between the mesh here and the true back of the backpack. So you get some nice airflow there because your back gets really sweaty when you're carrying a pack in the sun or whatever for like 20 miles a day. So they did this just to give you some extra, not insulation, ventilation for when you're wearing the pack. But the internal frame is essentially just creating this framing structure that helps it sit against your back comfortably and for long periods of time. And you can carry more weight in an internal frame pack without really hurting your back or carrying weight awkwardly. So the internal frame pack or any kind of framing helps you basically just carry more weight more evenly and more comfortably for longer periods of time. The next one is the no frame backpack, so frameless. And what it is basically just what it sounds like. It is a backpack that has literally no structure or framing inside of it to help keep it shape or to make it more comfortable for you while you're wearing it, that sort of thing. So I'm just gonna put this on here. So as you see here, all I have packed in here is just a sleeping bag that I had to just kind of give it some shape. But it just rests right up against my back. There's nothing else to it. So if I tighten it down, you just kind of have just like a bag that you're carrying with no frame in it. Now, the reason that you would want a frameless backpack is that it's pretty much always lighter compared to anything else and it's the same leader size. So for the same amount of stuff you can pack in it, it's always going to be lighter than a internal or external frame backpack. And that's basically the main reason you would want one. It doesn't help you carry more weight more evenly or more comfortably. So the frame really does help you with that. But with with a frameless backpack, you're basically just saving a bunch of weight. So what some people will do, and what I've done, is I actually cut out a very lightweight foam, just sort of backboard that I would put inside the backpack and stuff it along the back here to give it a little bit of shape and consistency on my back so that I didn't have things poking me through the bag, that kind of stuff. Because the other thing that the frame does for you on the back is helps just protect you from like the stuff in your bag that could be poking through and hurting you. So if you've ever carried like a school bag or anything like that, you know, like sometimes stuff will just poke through and kind of hit you in the back and it's awkward and uncomfortable. So I put just a very lightweight foam pad in the back here that I made out of an old foam sleeping pad that I had. The other thing you can do when packing a frameless backpack, if you're going to take this on one of your trips, is just to make sure that you pack, when you're packing the bag, make sure you pack things that are able to sort of meld shape. So I would usually pack my sleeping bag up against the back here. So normally when you pack a sleeping bag, you would pack it in the bottom and have it on the very bottom. But with a frameless pack, I would actually usually pack it up against kind of the back here, and it would help just kind of shape to the shape of my back. Now that doesn't help for ventilation at all because it's all just sitting right up against my back and I would get kind of sweaty and stuff. But as far as just using a frameless bag, you kind of have to give and take with it because you're losing a lot of weight with it in a good way, but you're also not keeping any of the shape or comfort of a pack that has a frame. So definitely a give and take. Mostly ultralight backpackers will use this, for very lightweight backpackers, because you're willing to give up that frame and that comfort for weight. So there you go. Now, I don't actually have an external frame backpack because I've never used one. I don't really find the need to use one very often, but there are a few use cases that you would want an external frame over like an internal frame or frameless backpack. But external frame backpacks are going to give you a lot of the same benefits of an internal frame. They're going to give you some kind of comfort. They're going to help you distribute the weight, that kind of stuff. They're going to shape to your back well, but also give you ventilation. All of those things are true with an external frame. In my experience, external frame backpacks are usually heavier than internal frame, and of course, frameless backpacks of the same like size. But an external frame is really good for if you need to be hanging stuff off of your pack a lot. So the external frame literally just has framing is basically like a square, usually like a rectangle of metal or sometimes wood, but like aluminum or whatever it is, in this kind of a shape of the backpack. But it's all external, so you basically just have like bags kind of within the framing instead of the framing within the bag. And what that's really useful for is I've seen a lot of people who go out sort of big game hunting. If you have gone out big game hunting and you need to be packing out a lot of stuff, so a lot of meat, pelts, that kind of thing, you need to be able to hang them off of your bag. Using an external frame is going to be a lot better for that than using an internal frame or especially a frameless bag. So that's one of the few use case scenarios that I would actually recommend an external frame backpack, is if you know you're going to be hanging a bunch of stuff off of it, or maybe there's some really kind of gross stuff that you don't want inside of a bag and you want it to be able to hang off and drain or whatever, then you would use an external frame. So that's all I have for you. Is that's just the difference between a frameless and internal frame and a external frame backpack. And you can kind of pick which one you want. I would recommend internal frame for most backpackers. I would recommend a frameless backpack for people who want to go ultralight, or maybe like higher end of lightweight, because you just don't actually have that much weight in your bag that you need to carry well. So you can kind of have that trade-off, but for you, you're just going to know what that weight is better for yourself. I wouldn't recommend, if you're carrying a base weight of more than 20 pounds, don't use a frameless backpack if you can help it, because after that, you're going to start wanting some structure and some ways to kind of carry that weight better and more comfortably with an internal frame. So I would definitely recommend internal frame for most people. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.